How is a deck this cheap, this good? Hello and welcome to the table, and today I'm going to be doing a deck tech video, surprisingly budget deck tech video, for Luke Skywalker Space Aggro. Yes, this is a fully tuned list with absolutely no legendaries, which is surprising, but let's get into things. Starting off with Luke himself, just a really solid leader. As an action, you can exhaust him. If you attack the other fighter unit this phase, you deal 1 damage to a unit. The only non-fighter unit in this entire deck is a Millennium Falcon, at least not something that you're going to want to pilot onto one of your units. So, I mean, you're always going to pretty much be dealing damage to one of your opponent's opposing units every single turn, which is really good and can add up over time, like Cad Bane does, but you're targeting a specific unit, which can matter. And then as an epic action, once you have 6 or more resources, you can flip Luke into a 5/6, or as a pilot that gives whatever you're piloting him onto a 4/5 buff. The upgrade himself cannot be interacted with in any way whatsoever. You just gotta get rid of the thing that Luke's piloted onto. And in addition, that thing that you're piloting Luke onto is getting, again, a 4/5 buff and an on-attack that, if it's a fighter, gets to deal 3 damage to a unit, making it really easy for you to shred down the opposing board state and make sure that your opponent does not have space units to get rid of yours and allow you to close out the game that much quicker and more easily. I'm running a 30 health base alongside Luke in green. Honestly, I don't think this deck should be running ECL, because while ECL is a really, really good card, the only thing that you're going to be taking true advantage of off of ECL is Chewbacca, because that is a good sized body. Everything else in the deck has 3 power or less that you would be ambushing out, which is not that good, really. So, I mean, even though it's really good, and that 5 life point disadvantage normally won't matter a ton, I feel like in this deck it could, and having 5 more life can matter. Especially when you're facing off another deck like Sabine that is running ECL. It's going to be easier for you to race Sabine if you have 5 more life than Sabine. So, there's that too. But then getting into the deck itself, the deck just has a ton of very cheap space units to just allow you to swarm the board. And then the next thing you're going to be wanting to do is just pallet up those things and then just get bonus value off of any events that you might be running. Or maybe play those early on depending on what event it is. But first off, let's talk about the space units. An oldie but a goodie. Green Squadron A-Wing, still in the deck. Still a really good card. 2 resource, 1/3, raid 2. Absolutely love it. Still a 3 of. Red 3, it is a 1 of in the deck, but it can give a boom since the deck is going wide a lot. That extra, like, raid 1 onto all your dudes can matter. So it is a good 1 of in the deck. It is 3 resources, and it's understated, but it is good. Wing Leader is also in the deck. So 3 resource, 2/1. When played, you get to give 2 experiences out to another Rebel, which everything in the deck is a Rebel except for Black 1. So Wing Leader, just a really, really good card to allow you to make your stuff that much bigger. Every other space unit in the deck is brand new. So Black 1, for example, 2 resource, 2/3, average statted body. But it can get a +1 buff if it's upgraded, and an on-attack to deal 1 damage to a unit if you control Poe Dameron as a leader unit upgrade. Which there's only the Poe Dameron unit that can turn into an upgrade in the deck, or can be piloted out as an upgrade in the deck. But still, being a 2 resource, 3/3 likely in space is just good enough for this card to be a 3 of. Same kind of deal with Phoenix Squadron A-Wing. It's a 2 resource, 3/2. I mean, sure, it's not a 3/3 by any means, but it is still a really good aggressive body. It is worse than A-Wing in my opinion, the Green Squadron A-Wing, but it is still really good. Then there's Red Squadron Y-Wing, which is a 2 resource, 1/3, the new best 2 resource space unit in the entire game in my opinion, with a really powerful on-attack to deal 3 indirect damage to the defending player. If it's dealing damage to the base, you can race them that much more efficiently. If it's dealing damage to their units, it makes it that much easier for you to pin them down with Luke, and it makes sure that it's harder for them to get rid of your threats. Then I got Blue Leader, 3 resource, 3/3, ambush space unit, probably the best space unit in the game, because when played, you can pay 2, give it 2 experience tokens, and move it to the ground arena. So it could be a 3 resource, 3/3 space unit, ambushing out, and dealing 3 damage, or it could be a 5 resource, 5/5 ambush ground unit. It's kind of like a Forlom, but it doesn't have to pair with another card to be really powerful, and it's flexible. Even though, yeah, I mean, it's just like, it's a really, really flexible, powerful potential removal spell, or at least damage spell. It could be 3 resources for 3 damage that maybe is a unit that sticks around, which is really good, or 5 resources for 5 damage that maybe potentially sticks around as a unit, which is also really solid. Just a really, really flexible and powerful card. Then I got red 5, 3 resource, 3/4. On attack, you can deal 2 damage to a damaged unit. Just a really, really powerful, solid card. I got red leader, also 4 resource, 3/4. That costs less depending on the number of friendly pilot units and upgrades you have. And whenever you pilot onto this guy, you make an X-Wing token. 2/2, just really good to allow you to give more things, or create more things to pilot more things onto. Then lastly, I got Millennium Falcon. It is a 3-cost card, but I want to talk about it last. One, because it's the only non-fighter space unit in the deck, but also for the fact that it can take advantage of cards I'm going to be talking about next, which is pilots. So Millennium Falcon is a 3-resource, 3/4 in space that can put 1 additional pilot on. Really good because it can be that much better because it gets +1 power for each pilot on it. So if you have 2 pilots on it, all of a sudden, it's a minimum 5/4 in addition to whatever buffs the pilots are giving it, which is really, really good. Especially if you're putting R2-D2 on it, which is a pilot getting into pilots. R2-D2, 1 resource, 1/4 ground unit, or you can pilot it for nada, giving whatever you're putting him onto a 1/1 buff. Really good. And it can be played on something that already has a pilot on it, or it's gonna give the attached unit the ability to put an additional pilot on it. So no matter what, whatever R2 is going onto is gonna be able to get a minimum of 2 pilots put onto it. If it's Millennium Falcon, 3, which is really broken. Then there's Nian Num, a 1 resource 1/2 that can get a buff depending on the number of pilot units and upgrades you have, and you can pilot it for 1 to do the exact same thing, making, if you put it on something like a Millennium Falcon, really freaking big. Then I got Biggs, which is a 3 resource, 3/4, or you can pilot it for 1 to give a 2/1 buff to something. And if it's a fighter, it also gets Overwhelm, or if it's a transport, aka Millennium Falcon, it gets +1 health, which can't matter because, I mean, a 1 resource, 2/2 upgrade, I mean, that's not bad by any means. Then I got Poe Dameron, which I've already talked a little bit about. 4 resource, 3/3. When played as a unit, you can create an X-Wing token and attach Poe onto him, which as an upgrade, which the upgrade side of Poe gives a 2/3 buff, and you can pilot it for 2 to give something that you pilot a 2/3 buff. So it's either like a 4 resource, 4/5 space unit, a 4 resource, 3/3 ground unit, or you can pilot it for 2, give whatever you pilot him onto a 2/3 buff. Really solid in my opinion. Then there's Chewbacca, a 5 resource 5/6 that cannot be interacted with, basically. Can't be defeated or returned to hand by enemy card abilities. And you can pilot it for 3, give the thing that you're pointing him onto a 3/3 buff, and it also cannot be defeated or returned to hand by enemy card abilities, making whatever you're putting Chewie on really, really difficult to interact with. Especially if it's something like a Millennium Falcon. If you put a Falcon, or if you play a Falcon, put a Chewie, R2-D2, and Nian Num on him, I mean, that is just going to be such a giant Millennium Falcon that's going to be so hard to get rid of. It is not even funny. Then lastly, I got the events of the deck. Daring Raid 2 of, 1 resource event that deals 2 damage to the unit or base. Just another way to maybe get rid of another unit that Luke is dealing damage to. Then there's Rebel Assault, a 1 resource way to attack with a Rebel for an additional power. Then another Rebel for an additional power. I need to close the game a little bit quicker. There are moments more likely to happen in pre-releases where you need to get 1 more attack in before you lose the game, and you can't, but then you play something like a Rebel Assault, and then you can, and this card can allow you to do that again. And again, that's not as likely in Constructed, more so in pre-release and in Limited, but still, very, very good nonetheless in a race. Then there's They Hate That Chip, a 1 resource event that says an opponent creates 2 ready TIE fighters, but then you get to play a vehicle from your hand and it costs 3 less. So you can play something like a red leader on turn 1. Sure, you give the opponent 2 ready TIE fighters, but that's still really good for you, especially if you pilot something like an R2-D2 onto it on the first turn. Boom, red leader is now 4/5 and make an X-Wing. Sure, the opponent can swing both of their TIE fighters into it, but now you just get a free 4/5 space unit on the first turn for 2 resources, which is nuts, and you can pilot another thing onto the red leader next turn, get another X-Wing, and then maybe pilot onto that X-Wing, and all of a sudden you're swinging for a ton of damage and have a giant board. Then lastly, there's Trench Run, and there are 2 of, like, they hate that ship. Just a good way to attack with something for a good amount of damage, just another way to race. It's only a fighter unit, but it is giving it a +4 buff and an on-attack that sure makes the opponent discard 2 cards from their deck, and then your unit takes unpreventable damage equal to the difference in costs of the discard cards. So maybe your thing dies, but with all the pilots, maybe it's going to be a little bit harder for your thing to die. So it is good, but it's only a 2 of because it's not the best. It's just a good way to close. But that's the deck. This deck, even though it doesn't have a lot of teeth, it can be really powerful because you're swarming the board with a bunch of little guys, and with all the pilots in the deck, you can turn those little guys into medium-sized guys. If you have a ton of medium-sized guys, well, what's the point of having big guys? If you have a 5/4 space unit, 5/6 space unit, and a 5/5 space unit, like, what's your opponent going to do? There's no reason for you to shove in big teeth in a deck that you don't need if you are consistently going to have a ton of medium-sized units in the mid to late portions of the game to allow you to very easily finish out the game and make it hard for the opponent to deal with your board, because it's 3 units that are good-sized bodies, not insane bodies, but they got to get rid of them all before they die, instead of you just having 1 big unit out that they can easily, boom, play Rival's Fall, get rid of it, and now all of a sudden you're back, and then they control the game and then beat you. They would need some kind of a board like wipe, like Turbo Laser Salvo or Super Laser Blast or something like that. But either way, this deck is absolutely insane. I absolutely love this deck. It is an incredibly powerful aggro deck and a budget aggro deck. For those of you just getting into the game, if you want a powerful aggro deck that can compete and be one of the best decks in the game, this is the absolute best deck for you, because there are no legendaries, very cost effective, just great deck. Great deck. But with all that aside, make sure to hit that subscribe button, hit that like button, it's completely free on credits, and stay tuned for the next video where I'll be talking about Darth Vader Space War. See you next time, everybody.